because we are extremely happy to have Hong Kong Olympic swimmer Ms Stephanie Au and Camille CHENG to lead us on the path to sustainable mental well-being and share the story of hashtag Mind the Waves and how to achieve and maintain mental health. Now, please join me in welcoming to the stage Ms Stephanie Au and Ms Camille CHENG.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
It's a very new experience for me. I haven't been to like a summit at all for a very long time.
Yes.
It's really exciting for us to be here today to share with you guys because we have started Mind the Waves in February.
Yep.
Valentine's Day.
Yes.
It's very romantic for us. It's like very romantic for the sports community too, I think, because, I'm getting way ahead. Sorry. I'm Stephanie Au, and I'm an Olympic swimmer and also a co-founder for Mind the Waves.
Yes, and I'm Camille CHENG. I'm also a Hong Kong Olympic swimmer and also co-founder of Mind the Waves. We have a third co-founder who is also an Olympic swimmer and co-founder, but she is currently working in Switzerland. So she says hello, but cannot join us today. So thank you also for inviting us today and giving us a platform to talk about Mind the Waves. We normally talk more about our experiences as swimmers and professional athletes, but since we've started Mind the Waves, now we get to talk about this, which is something we are also extremely passionate about and believe it's a very important message. So thank you all for being here and for inviting us. We wanted to keep it a little bit more intimate, and so we're doing a little bit more of a fireside chat between Stephanie and I, where we will just be asking each other questions.
Or answering the same question.
Or answering, yes. And so just to begin, I'll ask you, what is Mind the Waves?
Okay, I'm gonna tell a little story on how we get this started. It was actually by the end of Tokyo Olympic Games, which happened to be 2021. And then we finished our races. We were just like, all the time, we sit down by the river in the village, and we're just talking our lives out. Because that's the only time that we get to share our story even within the best teammate. Because we always have the respect for all the athletes when they're training and when they're competing. We don't want to bother them. But then when we sit down and we share our stories, we realize we all struggle the same way, but we never really shared our story, and we really don't have the toolkits to deal with any of these struggles. So it's since then we realized we got to do something about it. If we're struggling and we're willing to share, there should be way more like youngsters, athletes, whoever that is out there struggling as well, but they don't have the common space to share what they're thinking and don't have the toolkits, like I said. So that's why we know from that moment we wanted to do something for the community, for our community, and that's how Mind the Waves seeds was planted. But we can share more. We definitely struggled because we're just athletes, and we're very used to how we were just we're very comfortable in our zone. But then but that urge of us knowing that if we struggle, someone else is struggling, that we don't see, we better do something. That urge is so big that we are willing to step outside of our comfort zone and start Mind the Waves. You want to add?
Yeah. So essentially, Mind the Waves is a space that promotes mental well-being, especially among the youth in Hong Kong. So as Stephanie was saying, as swimmers, we've been given a platform and a voice, usually to talk about our life as athletes. And we wanted to use this platform to go further and talk about something that's really important to us as well, which is taking care of your mental well-being. And amongst each other, we were facing the same struggles, but with this platform, we would, whether we're doing school clinics, school talks, engaging with the younger generation of athletes, we would hear the same common struggles, things that we were struggling with when we were their age. How do you deal with stress? How do you balance academics and your sport? How do you deal with the pressure from parents or coaches or teachers? And then really a lot of the issues that when you're young, you contend with body image, identity, just there's so many topics. And so for me, it was like, well, these are the things that I was struggling with. And this was, now 10 years ago. How come they're still struggling with the same things? Maybe there's nothing that's being done about it. And so that's why we decided to start somewhere. And how we're starting right now is we have a video podcast, and we are not mental health experts. So but we want to be the bridge. So we want to be there to advocate for mental well-being. We want to normalize conversations around mental well-being. And so since we've launched in February, we've done several video podcasts. We've or relate with it, but hearing us share our struggles, there's maybe a bit more relatability. And so part of what we try to do with our video podcast is bring different guests, friends of the community that we hope people can relate more, that are not necessarily in the more medicalized field. And so that's what we've been doing so far. And then there's the other piece of the tips and the tools that you can talk about.
Yeah, so there's another point that I wanted to add on to what Camille said. It's because I've been hearing feedbacks from people who watch our podcast and been very aware that we started Mind the Waves. They have said it's really precious that it's because we are the higher profile athletes, and when we come out and tell people that we also struggle with mental health, it's a very powerful statement. And that's why it gives us more confidence to realize we're doing the right thing, we're on the right track. We should be the ones coming out and telling people and destigmatizing mental health issues. And what was that question?
About the tools and
so it's almost normal for us to start Mind the Waves with through Instagram. So we started creating this account, and then we just at the beginning we just share our stories, and people immediately drawn into this topic and they wanted to know more. But then as we go on, we realized because we're not experts, but we wanted to share, we wanted to create this community, and that's why we tried it with different tools, and we realized the best engaging activity that's on our page was telling people small little tips and tools. And recently we actually did a little campaign. We asked different Asian Games athletes to share what was the preparation mentally they do before their race. So I'm gonna share what I did before Asian Games. I actually posted on our Mind the Waves Instagram. You guys can go and look it up too, but I'll share it here. So there's one thing that I do before my race. It was actually my very last relay leg. I was somehow really nervous because it's also one of my it was my main event too. It was a 4x100 medley relay, and that was the first leg. It counts as my individual one too, so I was really nervous. But it was already the 6th day into Asian Games that I should be very well prepared. But then somehow I found myself in the preparation area. I was warmed up already. I did my warm up 1K warm up already. But then I was sitting in my preparation area feeling really cold, just frozen cold, and I've never felt that before. And I was just thinking to myself, what's going on? Why is this happening right now? I can't even wrap my head around. And then I actually these days I'm seeing I'm new to a therapy, so my therapist actually taught me a tip that because I was training in Australia, so I go to the beaches sometimes, and that's a place I found most comfortable. And she told me, when you're nervous before your race, maybe imagine, like, say, these lights, because it's really bright in the competition area. So when the bright lights are shining at you, like, visualize these lights are like sunlight shining onto you. So you can feel the like, you can almost like hear the waves and feel the warmth, like, from the top of your body all the way to your feet. And then, like, I was just like at the area sitting and closing my eyes and then visioning how I'm just like at the beach, very calm. And that actually magically turned my mind around, and I immediately got up and get changed. And once I get moving again, I can feel like the blood is flowing through my body. Once again, I was so thankful. And so these are the little tips that we share, like stories that we share on our Instagram. And I think it's really working well for us, given our audience are young people too. So that's why I feel like Mind the Waves has been doing, like, well, on the right track, because we are using the right language.
Yeah, I love hearing that story. And I remember being there with you, being like, what are you doing? And she's just, doing her visualization exercise. One of the things that I wanted to share too is, as athletes, a lot of the time people think that what we're doing is very physical. And obviously it is, because that is, as athletes, you use your body and that's how you train. And I think when it comes to performance, a lot of the times it's more mental. And so one of the things, we spend so much, there's this quote that says, performance is 90% mental and 10% physical. So if that is the statistic, then why does our training not reflect that? We're doing 90% training that's physical, but maybe only 10% working on the mental. How do you build your confidence? How do you manage anxiety? How do you deal with the pressure to perform? And so for me, that was really what got me interested in my background in psychology, and doing these courses. I was like, okay, these are tools that I can learn and then I can actually practically apply in my day-to-day life. And so these are the tools that we want to share with our audience, things that they feel like are digestible, that they don't have to that they can do little things every day. We talk a lot about, how physical health is treated. You don't wait until, you're 200 kilos and then you think, oh, maybe now I should go to the gym, or maybe I should go see a doctor, right? So, why wait until you're really, really struggling mentally to do anything about it? And I think for me, this message started a bit earlier on, when I was still just ending university. And it was in 2015, and I had decided to take a gap year and just try to go for the Olympics. And during this year, I was training so well. I was like, I should be able to get the qualifying time. But every time I stepped onto the block, I don't know why, I felt like we have the term, like, you choke. And so I was wondering, like, I don't understand. There's such a big disconnect between my training and my competition. And I started to really think about, okay, what are the things? And I realized it was my self-talk. So my self-talk was quite negative, in the sense that I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, using words like, I should be able to qualify, I need to qualify, like, I have to qualify. So obviously, if you put that much pressure on yourself, you're swimming with a big burden and you swim very heavy. And I remember, I was getting like 6 months into the year, and I was like, oh, I just took a gap year. Like, did I do this for nothing? And I was talking to my coach, and she was like, okay, why are you swimming? Like, you're swimming for the young little girl who fell in love with the water, who fell in love with the sport. Think about that. And that really was just a shift in mindset from, morning to afternoon. And that evening, I was thinking, okay, I want to do this, like, and really having a different self-talk approach, a lot more positive. And then that evening, I qualified for my first Olympics. And to me, it was just like, wow, there is so much power of your mind, and there's so much untapped power that for me, I was like, okay, this is stuff that needs to be, practiced more, shared more. And I think, yes, we can sit here and talk about it as athletes, but generally everyone goes through similar things of stress, needing to perform, even, like I get super nervous when I was in school during a presentation, or a lot of these things. And so I think what's hopefully you guys can take away too is there is a little bit of relatability that, these tools are not specific just to athletes, but they can be translated into other areas, other industries, other jobs. And that's what we continue to hope to grow, as we continue next year. We're training for the Paris Olympics and then beyond swimming. Yeah. I think maybe just to end, because I know we are a little bit over the time. Stephanie, what is maybe one takeaway that you would want our audience to remember from today, from our piece?
Given I feel like our biggest mission is to destigmatize mental health, there's an event that we wanted to do. We set a theme for it, but it was like Typhoon 10. And our theme was everyone has a mental health. Like, I think this would be the message I wanted everyone to remember, and we'll be continuing on this theme for our next year, and I'll put it there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Is there time for questions?
Oh.
No? I don't know.
We're tight on time tonight.
Okay.
So hey, give it one more time to Camille and Stephanie. Thank you so much. If you want to know more, mindthewaves.org or go on Instagram, mind.thewaves to check more stuff out about this. Now, at the same time,